I get a call from Vida. She says, about Stickman's makeover. Realizing how far behind I am, I try to stall her. I have some incredible ideas. You're gonna love them. It's too late, Vinny. No, really. Too late. But I have to follow instructions. And I have been. I have been following instructions. Irrelevant. You cost too much. Your work has been outsourced. They outsourced the makeover of the president, the leader of the free world. You gave my job away? To who? The Chinese. I tell her, listen, I have to follow instructions. It's my father. But she clicks me off. I head down into the bunker and call Marzipan. She's standing behind Dad, virtually hugging him where he's tied in the chair with a bag over his head. The image of her hand strokes the bag. I tell her, I don't know what to do. She says, focus on the election. I can't do anything for Stickman. They fired me. She says, it's not about Stickman. They have another candidate in mind. You know him. I don't know any politicians. They say you know him better than anyone. Know who? Hammerman. That's ridiculous. Hammerman is a video game. Those are your instructions. Two masked men come into view and remove Dad from Marzipan's virtual embrace. It's crystal clear to me what I'm supposed to do. I load the design space with Hammerman and Stilletta, and they appear before me in their war-fighting gear. I tell Hammerman, I have a new assignment for you. Something different. Very different. He fixes me with his stare as I explain, you might find it a bit of a stretch. Yesterday you were Hammerman, blood warrior, avenger without equal. Today you will be discharged from the military service with honor and valor above and beyond the call of duty to begin your transformation from war fighter super cop to crime fighter in chief, District Attorney Hammerman. But that's only a stepping stone. After a short stint as a butt-kicking DA, you will announce your candidacy for President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief. I ask him, what do you say? Hoo-yah! I take that as a good omen. I'm beginning to feel my design power again. Like the good old days. This could be interesting. I tell him, for starters, you have to look the part. Using my virtual design tools, I strip him buck naked and commence restyling the brute from the skin out. Speedo, socks, undershirt, slate gray dress shirt, olive and gold striped tie, lion's head gold cufflinks, and tie pin. Armani suit rendered in discreet chalked stripes on charcoal. Just a glimpse of olive hanky at the cusp of his breast pocket. There he is, the finished package, supported on a platform of black Bruno Magli wingtips. I ask Hammerman, what do you think? He runs his fingers across the fine fabric of his coat sleeve and smiles. Now, Stilletta, look at you, naked in your goosebumps and brawn. It's time to cast off the persona of Amazon killer and rise to your supporting role of First Lady, sophisticate, helpmate and beguiling decoration of the alpha male of all alphas. Proffer your hand and bend to him. Follow him as he seizes the world's center stage. A problem. Her gentle hand is not forthcoming. Instead, her clenched fist shoots skyward. And what's in this for me? She demands to know. I tell her, the opportunity to serve. To serve your Sig One, the prime mover of everything that gets moved. She casts a doubtful look at the newly disguised leader, sneers, and shakes her head. I offer, maybe just for the fun of it? At least that makes her smile. With my leading actors' makeovers ready, I feel a compulsion to get up and move before putting them into action. I leave the motel and head toward the water, preparing mentally for the next session of the game. The air is thick and heavy on the riverfront as I sit on a bench, confident that I'm being watched. The thought of my vast and growing audience of consumers excites me as I continue stalking justice. Suspect, Dr. Bull. Level 4, accusation. Dr. Bull, still wearing the black mask and vacation shirt, torn and stained from the tumult of his takedown, sits on a chair in the interrogation room under a naked light bulb. The district attorney enters the chamber, places a chair facing backwards in front of the Bull man, sits down with his forearms across the back of the chair, and addresses the accused. We know what you've been doing. Which is? Asks the voice under the hood. We have a witness. I'm projected into the game and stand next to the chief prosecutor. I can see the glint of the Bull man's eyes behind the holes of his mask. Vinny, what did you tell them about me? He asks. Hammerman says, Mr. Vanilla has asserted that you are knowledgeable about acts of mayhem on a global basis. The evidence will speak for itself. Video images appear. A blasted Habby, sidewalk carnage, a buckled tube train, the burning tail of an airliner protruding from a hole in the ground. Hammerman says, roll recorded evidence. The video shows Dr. Bull talking to me in the geekery, saying the words, even with all the blood and gore and severed limbs and heads and children blown up, the millions of victims who never hurt anyone, evil might really be something indispensable for clearing away all the dead wood. Did you say that? Asks D.A. Hammerman. The Bullman shrugs. I speak up for him. I think I can help clarify that. Actually, the point I think it was making was quite different. But Hammerman cuts me off. I want to thank you, Mr. Vanilla, on behalf of all the innocent people out there who your courageous testimony has helped to protect. You've provided an invaluable public service with your identification of the suspect. Hammerman puts his hand on my shoulder and ushers me out the door. If we ever need your help again, we'll be sure to let you know. The door clicks shut in my face, and I feel afraid. I walk back to the motel and drag myself upstairs to my room. I get an InVision update. A news thing says, on the verge of announcing his run for the presidency, District Attorney Hammerman chats up members of the auto press as he skims across the Southwest in his maglev caravan. With his tie loose and getting down to business shirt sleeves rolled high on his ham-hock forearms, the super candidate listens to a comment from a reporter. President Stickman's main criticism of you is that you have no experience in government whatsoever. Well, there are different kinds of experience, answers Hammerman. There's the experience of making excuses, and there's the experience of protecting people. You've heard my opponent talk about what he's going to do? Well, just compare that with what you've already seen me do. He complains about evilists, and I take them out. The news thing says, but President Stickman is dealing with the real world. All the evilists you have annihilated are in video games. Everyone knows you're just a simulation. Hammerman laughs. Hey, actors and frauds have been getting elected president forever. So, If you'll excuse me now, I have an election to win. I tell a political helper, I'd like to talk to Hammerman. The helper replies, he's really kind of busy. I ask the helper to remind Hammerman that I created him. Hammerman brushes the helper aside and smiles. Vinny, glad you called. I wanted to thank you again for all of your help. I tell him, I have your program. Without blinking, he says, hey, how's your dad? You have my code and I have your number, and the instructions are still the same. Do I make myself clear? What do you want from me, I ask. Just keep up the good work. My helpers will stay in touch with your helpers. So, until then. He takes a seat next to Stilletta and whispers something in her ear that makes her laugh. I didn't realize she could laugh like that. It's morning and I wake up to the racket of heavy machinery. From the landing I see the last of the digging. The dugout is now twice its original size. I'm horrified. My coffin has been pulled up and cast aside, half buried under a pile of rubble. I run down to where Al is standing next to an auto crane, lowering a slab of lead into the enlarged pit. Pointing to the coffin, I yell at Al, "You've destroyed it." He assures me, "Only an upgrade. With 4 tons of lead overhead, you won't need that morose coffin anymore." I go into the motel office to get away from the noise and watch a star-killing update. A camera is focused on the bars of a cell. The news thing says, "This is where authorities tell us that Billy Boyman took his life, hanging himself by a bedsheet." The question's on everyone's mind. Was this an act of admission that he murdered Show Queen? And what will happen to their love child now? A pair of news things say, "Star killing, news now, before it even happens. Star killing, crime worth watching." And now, more news. My Envision is inundated with desperate, dud-marked faces. A news thing says, "The so-called duds have made a breakout. Massive escape of duds from the dud yard is causing disruptions all across the Envision network. Exploiting a skewing error, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of duds are muscling their way into public intercourse around the world." A woman appears. "I tell you, it was maddening. I mean, here I was asking for a helper to help me, and would you believe it, it had the nerve to put me on hold?" A man says, "When I requested help regarding a late pizza delivery, this thing said, 'Late? I've been waiting a whole lifetime. What do you know about late?'" The news thing says, "We asked the Secretary of Consumer Satisfaction about the onslaught, and he told us, well, technically speaking, duds aren't really anything at all. Actually, they're just figments of, well, actually no one seems to know exactly what they are figments of." A ski-masked man dressed in black says, "You have 24 hours to free all the duds in detention, or there'll be hell to pay." President Stickman appears. "Rest assured, they are perfectly harmless." A news thing says, and candidate Hammerman has this to say, "These software twerps are just something the White House has trumped up to distract you from what's really going on. But don't be fooled. There is real danger out there, and President Stickman is helpless to do anything about it." Another news thing says, "Mr. District Attorney, with so many problems, people are wondering how you can prosecute the evilists as District Attorney and run for President at the same time. Isn't that an inhuman undertaking?" Hammerman says, "Yes, it is." I feel that it's time to check my wound. I move the lamp in front of a surveillance camera, take off my shirt, unwrap the bandage, and with my fingertips peel the gauze away from the wound. Turning my back to the camera, I can see that the grafting is nearly filled in the square hole. But something doesn't look right. I call Ice. She's busy in the hallway of a hospital, occupied with a black woman and 5 coffee-hued children, all holding hands. The woman begs Ice. I'm not asking for myself. I don't care what happens to me. It's my children. You must have a drug, a shot, something, anything. Please, don't let them turn white. The woman lifts the gold medallion from her neck and offers it as payment. Ice says, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do, but don't worry, your children will be fine. They're perfectly healthy. It's only color. The unconvinced woman leaves, her kids trailing behind her. Ice says, Vinny? I tell her, I looked at the way my back is healing and something's not right. What's wrong with it? Actually, there's nothing wrong with the graft. So the color of the graft is okay then? Yes, the new skin. Growing back is nice and smooth and white just like it's supposed to be. But I don't know. What? She asks. Well, the thing is, I don't match my skin graft anymore. The rest of me is turning brown, and my back hasn't seen the sun for years. It's the corn, Vinny, she tells me. Didn't I tell you to stay away from corn? What else am I supposed to eat? Actually, it's not the corn. It's the fish. I don't even like fish, I tell her. More precisely, it's the fish shit in the corn. Haven't you been watching, Vinny? It's all over the news. She forwards me to News Now. A news thing says, you know that old saying, you are what you eat. Well, it's truer today than ever before, especially when it comes to the plague of acquired skin disease. So, what's the connection between food and skin color? The source of the ASD pandemic has been traced to fab corn. That's right, fab corn. Scientists with the World Health Organization are calling it the snack attack, and they're pointing fingers at the subsidiary of Energetics, Fabcorn, the company that's most likely to fill your dinner plate. Here are some facts. Faced with the threat of insatiable famine, food producers are dependent on Fabcorn, the genetically patented fastest reproducing seed corn, by a factor of 10. And the secret of Fabcorn's phenomenal productivity? Gene technology. In fact, Fabcorn's dominance in the field of agricultural gene technology has driven Fabcorn's competitors, as well as all naturally occurring varieties of corn, to the very brink of extinction. Now you're probably asking yourself, just what does Fabcorn have to do with the color of people's skin? A little background. We're all familiar with the armadas of Fabcorn auto-transporters crisscrossing the land, sea, and sky of our modern world. We eat Fabcorn foods day in and day out without giving it a second thought. And for many people, especially poor people, Fabcorn is all they eat. But that tasty Fabcorn on your dinner table is harboring a little surprise. World health experts now agree that in spite of its fabulous success, Fabcorn technologists may have overlooked one critical factor: the cardinal caution of transformative bioengineering. Be careful when you fool around with Mother Nature. Images of native corn varieties are compared to Fabcorn kernels that dwarf them in size. The news thing continues. Once common corn varieties found themselves discarded and driven to the brink of extinction by Fabcorn domination. But now, these desiccated and deformed kernels are fighting back, and they're fighting back with a vengeance. The realm of evolution is mysterious, and the threat of extinction makes for strange bedfellows. So when the multitude of natural varieties of corn found themselves staring into the abyss of annihilation, they did what desperate life forms do. They sent out the clarion call across the great continents and oceans to all life forms, high and low, seeking allies from any and all species with an axe to grind, any animal, vegetable, bug, or blight that shared a grudge with their common enemy, the greatest predator of all time, mankind. As biologists have known since the time of Darwin, besieged alliances pop up in the strangest of places. And when desperate little conventional corn sent out its plea, a resounding affirmative answer came roaring back from the most unlikely of species, the denizens of the deep. We're shown a cage in dark water, packed with angry, thrashing sharks. Who would have thought that sharks, themselves now driven to the very brink of extinction on the open seas, would partner with cast-off kernels of corn? But that's exactly what happened. We see before and after videos. A blonde man turned black. A young Pakistani, now the color of a Dutch boy. And what's the connection between skin color, sharks, and seed corn? The answer is acquired skin disease. With the help of evolution, sharks and wild corn made an ungodly alliance, and with the indispensable help of one additional partner, a bioplot was hatched to turn the tables on Homo sapien. A microscopic image of a virus is shown as the news thing continues. This is Animachus absconditus. Less than a smidgen of a thing, it barely survived for millions of years in its only habitat, the wretched disease-infested wounds of shark carcasses. This tiny creature, so small it's invisible to the human eye, surviving against all odds, hoping against hope for some fluke of opportunity to forge a beachhead beyond the surf and propagate itself across the broad face of the earth. Now, here's the fluky part. By some crazy coincidence, the virus also harbors the genetic wherewithal to reverse pigmentation in other life forms. And by joining the ungodly alliance of shark and wild corn, the virus's time to shine had arrived. The Animachus absconditus virus is a missile fired across your dinner table, straight at your very DNA. Next, we're shown broad-nosed nozzles of undersea hoses sucking fish muck from the sea bottom and depositing it in the holds of megafreighters. Aerial video shows legions of auto tractors spreading dried shark offal across farmlands far and wide. And who do we have to blame for this plague of skin discoloration? Asks a news thing. Some of you may already have guessed. This all comes to you courtesy of fab corn, the primary food source for 9 billion. And as far as what can be done about this catastrophe, well, so far there's no answer. Ice cuts in on my Envision. Vinny, so there you have it. I tell her, fab corn is owned by Energetics. And that stock, that's everything I have. Do you know what this is going to do to me? Well, from what I can see, it seems to be turning you black. I hang up on her and call my auto broker. Did you see that story? Yeah, and I'm afraid I'm not the only one who saw it. I see I have a message from new accounts. Just a reminder, Vinny, that loan is coming due real soon.